Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Attacking Third. We are presented by CarMax, the way car buying should be. She's Christine Cupo, Lisa Carlin. I'm Aly Trost-Martin. Ladies, we've reached summer break in the NWSL. Hey, Hags, have a great summer, everybody. Summer Cup incoming, NWSL, Liga MX Femenil. That's going to kick off while the Olympics are going on. But this got me thinking about summer breaks of the past. What were some of y'all's favorite things to do during summer break?
Summer camp, sports camp. Sign me up for all of them, all the sports. I mean, there's always a soccer camp every single summer, but I usually did like a basketball camp, a tennis camp. I threw it in there. My parents were like, get her out of the house every single day, sign her up for everything and get her active and moving.
I was a beach kid.
Beach
every day.
I grew up in the Midwest, so we did not really have beach access.
I was the worst surfer, still am. But I would paddle out with the guys and then just kind of hang out on my board.
I like that. Yeah. Jersey beaches, right?
Yeah.
Me too. Let's go.
Okay, so you can surf on Jersey beaches. Again, I'm a transplant. I'm up here now from the Midwest where you're not surfing anywhere.
Yes, you can surf in the Northeast. You can also surf in New York off of Long Beach. They actually have held professional surfing competitions up here. You should go check it out.
Okay, will you take me?
Yes.
Oh, I want to come.
Like beach?
I want to go too. This sounds like a blast.
Pack a towel, although you can't bring all the extra stuff. No chairs, no just towel, bags,
That's all you need.
I won't be surfing. I'll bring the chair and the snacks and the cooler with the drinks and my book, and I'll watch you guys surf. How about that?
I love it.
Deal.
Somebody's got to be the mom of the group.
Oh, I was also a camp kid, Lisa. Soccer camp was my jam, and I had a specific memory come to mind thinking back, and we would trade pre-wrap a lot. Because remember, like, thank God Alex Morgan is still keeping the pre-wrap game alive, as are other professional women's players too with the headbands. But that was
still rocking it for pickup.
Okay, well, I don't know. I haven't worn a pre-wrap headband since probably 2007. So, you know. Maybe I'll bring it back.
For the show. Aly, we could have worn it for the show today.
Next time.
Listen, I definitely have spare pre-wrap. It's probably a year old now that I haven't played, but like it's good. It's still good. I'll bring it next show.
Next show. All right. Sounds like a plan. Well, we've got a lot to get to on the show today. We're going to talk all things NWSL, and we have to start with a developing story and something that came out last week as it relates to the San Diego Wave. A former employee of the club released a statement on social media saying that the club allegedly perpetuated discrimination against women and demonstrated, a complete disregard for their long-term mental health. The posts called for the removal of club president Jill Ellis for creating an unhealthy work environment. Later in the day, other former employees of the club issued statements citing similar claims. In response, the club called the allegations categorically false and are reviewing the situation, and it intends to pursue all legal avenues to address the matter. Ellis issued a statement to several news organizations denying allegations of abuse at the club, saying they are false accusations, personally damaging, and mental health concerns are a priority for the club. Two-time Women's World Cup champion and club captain Alex Morgan issued a statement saying, quote, I am disappointed to hear about the allegations made by multiple former Wave FC employees today. As players, we have worked hard to build a team that is surrounded by an inclusive, positive, and safe environment. But it's important to me that we are creating that environment for both players and staff throughout the entire organization. Equity in the workplace is something I have and will continue to advocate for. I want to be proud of what we are building at the Wave, but it is clear that there is so much work to be done. We will continue to follow the story as more comes to light, but that is the latest on what's going on at the San Diego Wave at the moment. Moving over to some injury news, and this time affecting a club in the Midwest. Kansas City have two forwards suffering long-term injuries. 16-year-old forward Alex Pfeiffer suffered a torn ACL and meniscus in KC's win over Houston on June 28th and has been placed on the season-ending injury list. She became the youngest player to sign for the Current last October at age 15 and has 1 goal in 10 appearances on the season. Forward Bia Zanerato is the other player that suffered an injury. She has a broken bone in her foot and will be out for the next 6 to 8 weeks and is set to miss the Olympics as well for Brazil. So some big losses for Kansas City, who suffered, by the way, just their first loss of the season over the weekend against Orlando, who remain unbeaten. We'll dig into that matchup coming up next. But gals, there are also a lot of transfer moves happening, particularly in Europe, and a big one as it relates to Arsenal. Christine, I know that's our club. Viv Mitova, it's not just one thing to leave a club, it's another thing to go to the rival club. And Viv Mitova is moving to Manchester City. This is huge news. Arsenal let her contract run up. Christine, how surprised were you that this is the ending that we're seeing for Miedema at Arsenal.
It was interesting. I don't know if the consideration on the part of Arsenal was factoring in the ACL injury that she had come back from and just thinking of her longevity as they look at the perspective of a lengthy contract. However, Viv has gone on the record now saying that, she is happy to join City. She is pleased to join a team with the best players in the world, and they have aligned interests in that they both want to win the league and get some titles. So
some pointed remarks from Miedema.
Very, very pointed. I mean, you don't have a career as an Arsenal legend like Viv Miedema. Right. She has carved out her own career history. She is a legend. So, yeah, it's a little bit weird to see her go to a direct rival.
For sure.
But she's joining Chloe Kelly, Bunny Shaw, her fellow teammate for a national team. Joel Roord is also back from injury. So it's going to be really, really electric this season.
Lise, how much better do Man City get with this move?
Miedema is a natural goal scorer, so this automatically elevates City's status and what they're trying to do. And lest we not forget, City missed out on the Super League title on goal differential on the last day of the season to none other than Chelsea, who just continuously wins. So for Miedema, this is an opportunity to take down Chelsea. You have to think of it like that, to pick up more hardware and to have a different challenge. Although a tough decision for her to make this move going to the rival, she did talk about in some media availability saying that she said to her friends at Arsenal, may the best team win, and I hope you achieve great things, but not when it comes at the expense of City. So she is all in on City. Fans can expect nothing less than her because it is such a tough decision to choose to do that. She said her decision to go to City relied on two things: her footballing heart, making sure that the club had the same ambitions of her and the same philosophy, and that she was also going to be happy off the pitch in her everyday life. And Arsenal is saying goodbye to them is hard, but City met both of those expectations. I'm thrilled for the Super League next season. I mean, all the transfers that we're about to talk about just create so many different dynamics across the league.
Which only make women's football better.
The first meeting between City and Arsenal this
season, they'll be rolling up their sleeves, ready to go.
Sky blue is going to be jarring and also terrifying.
Yeah, for years to come, Miedema signed a 3-year contract through 2027 on a free transfer. That is going to be a rivalry now to watch even closer than it has been in the past. Another move to get to is also in the Women's Super League. Fran Kirby is moving to Brighton from a club we just talked about, Chelsea. And this is another big move for a Brighton side that's getting another boost to their attack. Lisa, what does Kirby bring to this Brighton side?
So much experience. As a midfielder, she can play higher up, and Fran Kirby's experience at Chelsea, winning titles, constantly understanding that she knows how to compete on the biggest stages, but what she brings is leadership and a veteran ability to this Brighton side. Last year, they finished 9th, only 19 points in the Super League, and they want to contend for silverware, which they haven't been able to do, and Fran Kirby brings an experience and a leadership to be able to contend, let alone her vision on the pitch, her football IQ. She just understands spatial awareness on the pitch. She sees plays long before they've developed, and she sees everything multiple steps ahead that allow her to create so many different chances. She's going to make Brighton a top contender in the table next season.
And she's won trophies, 15 trophies, Christine, in 9 seasons.
They don't call her Super Fran for nothing.
A winner.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting WSL season ahead. Again, another one that you just can't picture not in that Chelsea blue. I don't know. It's going to be a topsy-turvy season for them.
Yeah, Fran Kirby, another reported 3-year contract for her on a free transfer as well. So a lot of movement. Are either of you surprised to see some key figures for their respective clubs making these moves? Like, what was your reaction to these? Are two really big moves that we're seeing happen right now for players who have been regarded as legends at their clubs.
I'm not that surprised when you consider with Chelsea, the era has ended with their head coach, Emma Hayes. I think a lot of players thought, okay, like this is a new chance for me to adventure into something else. And when you look specifically at Kirby, this is a chance for her to go to Brighton and be a face of a club and to be a leader to them and to take on a different role than she's had to at Chelsea, because because there will be so much more pressure on her as a proven winner and a veteran to really take and shoulder a lot of the pressure that Brighton is going to throw at her. But I mean, I think for Viv Miedema, it wasn't necessarily her choice. Arsenal didn't extend her contract, so she said, okay, let's make lemonade out of these lemons that were thrown at me and continue to grow in my experience as a professional.
Yeah, I think with Fran, though, too, she probably looked at it as everything is going to change at this club now. It's not going to be what we've known. And so if I'm going to venture into the unknown, why not take on an entirely different challenge rather than trying to replicate this sort of storied club and legacy that I've already built here? And her and Emma are so intrinsically linked at this point that, you know, maybe you depart and you start clean slate.
Yeah. One new player on the way in for Chelsea is Sandy Baltimore, who's making the move at 24 years old from PSG. So Chelsea picking up some new pieces as well. Christine, you had a reaction there. What's yours?
Because they are bringing in a very consistent player season over season. She's been very productive for at least the last 4 years, both in goal scoring and assists up in the double digits. So Chelsea are absolutely making a solid statement with this signing.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. With a natural left-footed in her, the quality that she is going to bring Baltimore to the front line for Chelsea, whipping crosses in. And Aly, they're absolutely stacked, Chelsea, right now, because they've got Katarina Macario, Mayra Ramirez, Aggie Beaver-Jones, Hamano, Sam Kerr. It just, the list continues to go on. And when you bring in someone like Baltimore that can not only score goals and find the back of herself, she can also create a lot of chances for the players around her. And when you have someone like Sam Kerr coming back from injury, ready to score goals, you want someone like Baltimore who can set her up so easily.
Okay, right now, if you had to make a pick, whose attack are you most excited about in the WSL?
I'm going to say Chelsea with Sam Kerr coming back, hands down, and the addition of Baltimore. But, geez Louise, City looks dangerous.
Right now I'm going to go City, and this is the inverse of what I had chosen toward the latter part of last season. But yeah, I think City on paper, and this will be an ongoing argument, I'm sure, because Arsenal had the big splash last preseason, and we see how that unfurled. But yeah, I think City right now are like eyes on the prize. They have a bad taste in their mouth, having lost out last day of the season.
Hey, anytime that we can have a debate about who's going to be the best, it just creates so much excitement around the season because it is going to be a week-to-week thing that we see with how much talent there are across some of these teams in the WSL. Moving it back stateside to the NWSL and the Utah Royals picking up an important piece. They have struggled in their first season. Mina Tanaka is coming over to the Utah Royals, 30 years old, signed for the 2025 season. And this is a player that has played in the Japan League, winning 4 straight Golden Boot titles, bringing some goal scoring, which for Utah is much, much needed. They have just 8 goals this season, which is by far the fewest in the NWSL. And this project for Utah is going to be a multi-season project, especially with where they're at right now. Lisa, how much better, though, in the attack are they going to get with this addition?
Tanaka provides so much in the attack for Utah, and she also brings the veteran ability to this squad. Utah right now, their average age on their roster is 25 years old. And although only 30 years old, a young player, Tanaka, she is a proven goal scorer. She also can be a superstar. On a team like Utah, they need that. They don't have superstars. They have a lot of really good role players that can plug into different positions and contribute when needed. But right now, Utah's relying on a rookie in Aly Trost-Martin to be the superstar, to take the spotlight, to score goals, and to be really the driving force in the Royals' attack. This is going to take pressure off Trost-Martin. And with Tanaka coming in, being a Japanese player, that just provides a different wrinkle and an international flair that Utah can use in keeping possession of the ball, keeping it moving, building out of the back. And then it's going to be fun, ultimately, when she gets there. Before she comes to Utah, though, we get to watch her in Paris at the Olympics.
I know. Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. And, you know, Aly Trost-Martin's got to be happy, too, because she has 6 goal contributions this season. She's been involved in a large majority. I don't know the exact percentage. Math. But 6 of the 8 goals that Utah have scored, Aly Trost-Martin's been involved in, just to have another piece to help alleviate some of that pressure that has fallen on a rookie's shoulders. She's lived up to that pressure up to this point, but she needs some help in the attack. Another move to get to, Mariana Caldente is making the move to Arsenal. Talk about another proven winner, a lot of proven winners on the move. 2023 World Cup winner with Barcelona, and she won the Nations League with Spain in 2023-24. Women's Champions League 3 times, a decade spent at Barcelona, so many trophies, so much experience. What does Arsenal, Christine, get with this addition to the squad?
They get an excellent, well-rounded, experienced player that isn't necessarily a 1v1 replacement of a Viv, but they certainly need to reinvigorate all of that midfield and that attack. And I think that she is the perfect piece. You have somebody with a proven record. They had won the treble last year, the quadruple this year.
Her resume is like multiple pages long.
It's like a CBS
I'm like, hang on, Caldente, let's go. No. But really and truly, has had really good coaching, is a coachable player, has natural talent, is very smart. I think that Arsenal, I don't think this will be their last splash for signings before they head into the new season, but I think this is probably going to be their biggest one.
To me, this says what Jonas Edeval wants to do at Arsenal and the style that he wants to play, because Caldente is not at all like for like swap for Viv Miedema. Caldente plays a little bit more possession-based, and she wants the ball at her feet to go 1v1 or to combine and create numerical overloads, not just getting in behind and looking to go fast and quick in transition. So I might expect to see a change in how Arsenal plays throughout the Super League season next year.
So many great storylines to follow in the WSL, and we will keep you posted on all the transfer news that comes down as we are just getting started here on Attacking Third. Coming up next, we are recapping an electric Matchday 16 in the NWSL. Hey, welcome back to Attacking Third, sponsored by CarMax, the way car buying should be. Here's a look at what happened in the NWSL this weekend. First ever meeting between Seattle and Utah ended in a 1-1 draw. North Carolina come back to win 3-1 against Louisville. Gotham picking up their third straight road win, 2-1 at Angel City. And Orlando Pride, they end Casey's unbeaten streak and keep theirs alive, 2-1 at CP Casey Stadium. This game felt like a final, and man, was it fireworks. Lived up to the billing. It had a little bit of everything, but ultimately Orlando coming out on top despite playing down a player for a majority of this match, still coming away 2-1 on top. Lise, what was the biggest lesson you learned about the Pride in this game?
They only need 3 attackers, Orlando. They don't even need 6. They don't even need 11 players on the field, Aly. Orlando can get the job done and continue to be as effective in their attack without 11 players on the field. All they need is Marta, Barbara, Branda. You can throw Angelina in there. You can throw a number of players up into the attack. Of course, the more the merrier, but even playing down a player for so long, Orlando proved that they are organized and disciplined in defense. They can move in transition with Kansas City and get behind the ball to slow them down when need be. And it only takes a few passes to break lines and transition to get into their attacking end, ultimately to score the goal. It didn't even look like Orlando was playing down at all throughout this match.
It was a really fun match to watch. It was chaotic. It was goal scoring. Had the bravado. I don't know. Would watch again. Just like DVR it. Like,
no,
5 stars. Would watch again.
I couldn't watch it live, and so I recorded it, and I avoided looking at social media just so I could go watch it and enjoy it in its entirety, because it really was, for a July matchup, it's very rare that we're ever talking about a game in the way that we were talking about this match in the lead up, with how much felt to be at stake, even though both of these teams can afford a loss. They're a shoe-in for the playoffs. Something catastrophic would have to happen for that to not be the case. And the celebrations after the fact, I think, matched exactly how intense this game felt. But those celebrations were felt differently by both teams. For Orlando, they showed you just how much that win meant to them. And Michelle Cooper wasn't too happy about it. Forward for the Kansas City Current, she shared the graphic that the team put out after the game with the final score, and she said, "We will remember the way they acted after the cameras were off, counting down to September." Whew, okay. Not sure what happened when the cameras were off, but clearly the Current, Christine, felt a certain way about how Orlando reacted to that win.
Celebrate as hard as you want, as long as you want. The thing is, yes, this is just a regular season game, but there was a lot riding on it, right? Like, tensions were high. You knew who you were coming up against. You have both perfect records going into this, trying to figure out who's going to come out on top. There should be this level of competition, and yeah, like, celebrate. Given the nature of this game and not knowing, like, injuries and otherwise, Every single match, every goal, celebrate it all.
It wasn't just fans that thought this felt like a final with the excitement, the intensity, the physicality. Clearly, Orlando felt like that too, because they were celebrating as if they had won the championship. And in a sense, it was better than that because they continue to stay undefeated. They take the first spot in the standings since week 10, and they continue to prove that they can do this on both sides of the ball. So much of this match also was because of Anna Morehouse, the goalkeeper for Orlando Pride. She ultimately had 7 saves throughout this match. She kept Orlando in this game. It was a team effort from front to back, subs coming in off the bench, and even the way Orlando trains. Seb Hines says that he practices playing down a player and what they can do to utilize their attack and the players that they have on the pitch in that moment.
Either way, both of these teams get better from the experience of playing in this game. A chapter in Kansas City's villain origin story that might be developing now after the reaction to losing for the first time at CPKC Stadium to Orlando. This is going to be a storyline to follow as we get closer to the end of the season and the playoffs. We also saw 2 of the Golden Boot contenders facing off. Both had goals in this game, and Timwa Shawinga and Barbara Banda will talk more about their impact on the game later on in the show. Let's chat Angel City and Gotham. It was a big win for Gotham, but for Angel City, their struggles continue, falling 2-1 in this matchup, and it has just been a tough go for them. And the question now becomes, since we've seen some coaching moves made, Casey Stoney out at San Diego, Amy Rodriguez out at Utah Royals, how hot is Becky Tweed's seat with LA 1 win, 2 draws, and 6 losses in their last 9 matches, Lise?
It's hot, I think, for sure, when you look at where Angel City wants to be in the table. They want to be higher. They want to be consistently picking up more wins. We also have to remember what's happening off the pitch at Angel City. They're in the midst of a huge potential sale with Willow Bay and her husband, Disney CEO Bob Iger, close to purchasing Angel City. So if Becky Tweed's seat is hot, it's about to get hotter once this sale goes through, because new owners come in and they say, why aren't we winning? Why aren't we picking up points? What's happening here? And there's been no lack of ownership dealt from Angel City. Becky Tweed says, hey, we know we want to be better. And there, Allie Riley, the captain and defender of this Angel City side, has also talked about how they take responsibility and they know they want to be better. It's just working on getting there. I think this Olympic summer break comes at a perfect time for Angel City to regroup and revamp what they have.
Yeah, I think you also hit the nail on the head with the high valuation that this side has. Now the juxtaposition of their record, just what they're looking like on field, you're not looking like as attractive of a sale. So I feel like the appetite for letting this run is getting very, very small. I think we'll see moves more quickly than probably maybe they would have been, especially if the sale goes through quickly. There's not going to be the appetite for losing on top of everything else. You want to be getting a very valuable asset, and you don't want to have the diminishing play. Yeah,
absolutely. Well said, Christine. And something we'll just continue to watch as this break unfolds if the sale does progress more quickly. Bay FC hosting Washington Spirit, another matchup, and a big storyline for this one was Jonathan Giraldez, the new head coach of Washington Spirit, his first match on the touchline for this Washington Spirit side, which, look, this is a team that's been doing well in the NWSL, Lisa. The expectations were high, but you always wonder when there's a bit of a coaching shuffle, even with all the excitement and anticipation around Giraldez's arrival, just what it will look like. And it started off on a good foot. What did you see tactically from this team with Giraldez on the touchline for the first time, leading the side to a win?
For Washington Spirit, they looked the same, if anything better than they have in the past weeks. And that's because they had the interim head coach in Adrian Gonzalez, who was able to slot in before Jonathan Giraldez showed up to be the main head coach. And he laid a really good foundation of what Washington Spirit football is going to look like in 2024. Washington is going to keep the ball. They're going to possess and build out of the back through their lines. And they're going to have a lot of fluidity in their attack, from the front 3 runners to the 2 attacking players in their midfield. There's fluid movement. They get the ball wide. They send crosses in. And Al, they've got rookies that can ball on this squad. 5 NWSL 2024 draft picks for Washington Spirit. All 5 of them have scored goals. All 5 of them have played. And that includes a 4th-round pick in Courtney Brown, who has absolutely shown up and showed out for this squad. And then McKenna Morris out of Clemson. She got her first pro start in this match. First pro goal, first pro assist. She draws a penalty. I mean, fireworks everywhere for Washington rookies.
So many fun teams to watch right now in the NWSL. And another team on the East Coast that scored 3 goals yesterday, North Carolina, 3 unanswered after going down 1-0 against Racing Louisville, Christine. A huge response. And the first time that North Carolina have come back in a game and won?
Unprecedented in regular season. Yeah, they have never actually done that, though they also probably have never had to. They typically get out early and don't necessarily need to make that run back. But they had an excellent second half performance. It just, between Manaka's chip goal, which was chef's kiss, the assist from Denise O'Sullivan, goal scoring again from Ashley Sanchez, whose productivity has now been pretty consistent, which is everything is pointing in the right direction for the Courage. It's just, I think they need to get away from that bad juju of like having those road losses. And I think the Olympics, coming back from that, they'll be in much, much better shape with all the reinforcements.
North Carolina problem solved very effectively throughout this match. In the first 45 minutes, I mean, Louisville goes up 1 goal over North Carolina at halftime. And a lot of that having to do with defender Lauren Millay. She nullified any attack that Haley Hopkins, North Carolina, wanted to build down the left side of the field. And North Carolina had to problem solve. They couldn't build centrally. They needed to find players wider, and they didn't do it well in the first 45 minutes. They changed everything in the second 45 to find those open spaces, to look at the options, and to move off the ball for each other, which then it became like a snowball effect for the Courage. They were able to create more chances and find goals and move in transition. It was high press. Everyone looked like a complete team and a complete unit for North Carolina in the second 45.
Being able to find those solutions in the game ultimately just makes you stronger as a group. And Sean Nahas, the head coach of North Carolina Courage, always very active on social media, tweeting after the game how proud he was of the group and that getting 1% better. And North Carolina showed that in finding those answers to come back and score 3 unanswered. Not just a comeback, that is a dominant final result as we now shift our focus to Portland taking on the San Diego Wave. For Portland, they pick up another dub, 1-0 the final score. And for San Diego, their struggles continue as they are now winless in 9 straight matches. They just let go of Casey Stoney, the head coach, at the end of June, and no seemingly much progress from that. It was already a controversial decision, I think, in the eyes of many. Christine, what did you see from yet another disappointing showing from San Diego?
I see another San Diego performance where they don't seem to know what they're doing tactically.
They can't score goals.
They can't score goals. It's everything. I feel like all of the issues that they had pre-existing to Stoney's removal, which was that she was trying to implement a new system style to make them more efficient based on the players that she did have. And yes, that does take a significant amount of time, and maybe the appetite isn't there for the time that is needed. But if you don't have an identity and you're just going to put players out there and say, okay, let's go, and you're not scoring goals, nothing's going to change.
San Diego should be scoring goals. You look at this roster. They have Alex Morgan, Jaden Shaw, Mackenzie Doniak, Savannah McCaskill in the midfield. These are all goal-scoring players in the NWSL. And in the first half for San Diego against Portland, not a single shot on target. The lack of build-up for San Diego is what is really frustrating to see because they have been so effective at it last year. Even if they were going direct, it worked. Why not revert back to that at this point, or at least try to do it? Because once you, as a defender, if your attack isn't continuously scoring, it also becomes deflating for you 100%. Because you know you can't let a single goal in, otherwise you're potentially going to lose this game. And San Diego allowed their 5th goal in the 85th minute or more throughout this match. And it's not for lack of defensive effort. Goalkeeper Caitlin Sheridan had 7 saves throughout this match. There were 8 clearances by center back Abby Dahlkemper and Naomi Girma. They were throwing their bodies on the line, but it's the 6th time this season that San Diego has failed to score, and that's not good enough.
No, it's weird because I thought that a lot of this would be sort of eradicated once the injury spell was sort of lifted and you got back like your typical starting lineup, had to like remove the rookies that were in the shuffle, but nothing's changed.
No, it's shocking, and it's the build-up. It's also some of the decision-making. At times, this team doesn't look like there's any cohesion whatsoever, or that no chemistry.
And they have veterans on that team.
Yeah, so but Melanie Barcenas, the 16-year-old, had one of the best chances in the
game. Exactly that juxtaposition, yes.
Tough times for San Diego is what we're saying, but for Portland picking up another win as they continue to improve their record after a slow start to the season. Chicago, another team continuing their good form with a 1-0 win over Houston, and who else but Mal Swanson, who has looked excellent after her return from a really, really devastating knee injury that she suffered last year with the U.S. Women's National Team, and has come back, not missed a beat, meaning so much to the Chicago team. Christine, what have you made about the way that she's returned and how it's impacted the Chicago Red Stars?
It's been really seamless, and it was very easy to forget how great she is and the qualities outside of her goal production. She's just a really smart player. To see her just kind of turn it back on and say, oh, that's who we saw, that's who we know she is, and sort of start to eclipse that is really, really promising. It's unfortunate that Chicago have kind of had the bumpy season that they've had thus far, but she's been outstanding. I mean, she's sitting fourth now in the Golden Boot race. I don't think that she'll slow up.
But that's also coupled now with some really strong defense as well. This is the third clean sheet of the season and second straight for Chicago. What's been working there, Lise?
For Swanson and this Chicago side at all, their mentality is defense first, from the front to the back, which is different than how Swanson has been asked to play internationally, even with Chicago prior to this year. But you look at the goal that Chicago and Swanson scored this past weekend over Houston. It came from defense. High press that is driven by Swanson at the top. And then you have a little Nagasago pickoff and running through. But when front to back defensively, Alyssa Nair in goal doing her job consistently. But Sam Staub has been a huge asset for this Chicago side, saving them at times, even against a Houston side that got some good chances. Staub was always there to nullify any huge chance that the opposition got.
Seattle, Utah, the other matchup we're going to talk about. 1-1 the final score, which for Utah has got to feel a little bit like a win. They're just looking to pick up results the best that they can. While for Seattle, they had chances, Christine, in this game, but as it has plagued them already many times this season, just unable to convert on a lot of those chances. What are they lacking up top?
A clinical finish. They have all of the creation and the movement is good, and then there's just very few shots on target or shots at all. They can't finish. They can't finish, and Utah capitalized on the fact that, you know, they make an error, try to get in there. Again, Utah haven't been super productive either. You're talking about two teams at the bottom of the table. But Utah in the second half absolutely looked like a much better team, which is not what you'd expect of a Laura Harvey side, to just like pale in comparison to what is essentially an expansion side.
Yeah, and this was a big result for Utah as they snapped a back-to-back shutout streak, while for Seattle, winless in their last 9 matches. A draw is not a bad result, but when you look at it in the context of their recent form and being unable to get a win, it does just kind of start to become a trend at that point. So that is the weekend in the NWSL.
Woo, a little whip around. I got whiplash there. It was good.
Everything in. And we've also got Sandra Herrera joining us next to give her top 5 moments of the season. Anytime you get ready for a little break in the action, it's good to reflect and look back. Sandra's going to do that for us coming up next.
To the box. Bethune juggles. Coming in. Bethune goal. Her first pro goal.
Marta delivers. This one to the back post. He comes in the middle. Banda scores. Banda gets there. Barbara Banda. Still another chance. Banda scores again.
Smith. Shot taken. There's the first goal. Portland leads.
Swanson on top of it, left footed goal! Now Swanson!
Here comes Adriana, offering Marta. Marta went for goal and scores! Shawinga picks this up. Campbell trailing away. Shawinga won the race! Shawinga!
We're only halfway through the NWSL regular season, but we've had a full season's worth of action, goals, performances, storylines, and that got us thinking ahead of this little break ahead of the Olympics and the Summer Cup between the NWSL and Liga MX Femenil. Why not reflect on all of the great things that we've seen so far, and who better to take us through the top moments of the season than our own Sandra Herrera, who is in the house on A3, and she's going to rank her top 5 storylines, moments from the season thus far. Sandra, great to see you. Let's just kick things off with number 5 as you take us through your top moments.
Yeah, number 5, I've got what I'm referring to as international elevation. I love what we've been seeing so far this season from all the internationals that have arrived to NWSL. This league has been home to international players since its inception, right? It got founded with partnerships through Canada Soccer and Mexico. And though Mexico's, federation ended up pulling out of NWSL, we still to this day see Mexican internationals playing across the league. But there's been something very special about this season, watching these players week to week rise to the occasion and deliver constant highlights throughout that first half of the season. I can only imagine that there's going to be even more to come once some of them return from the Olympic break.
These internationals represent 35 different countries outside of the United States, and they have absolutely brought fireworks to this league, Sandra. But so have the rookies. Number 4, take us through your number 4 storyline this year.
Yeah, you already know the rookies on parade. Look, there's an argument to be made that they're all in D.C. with Washington Spirit, right? They all signs point to the Spirit walking away with Rookie of the Year, probably with Croy Bethune, who's already got 5 goals and 9 assists this season. But there's also Hal Hirschfeld, and we've seen Kate Wiesner, we've seen Cord Brown. We've seen so many players step up in their first year. But I think what's really special about this particular rookie class is that we can maybe look outside of DC as well and see other players starting to thrive as well, right around this sweet spot, this midway point of the NWSL season. We're starting to see Leilani Nesbeth and Jamise Joseph get more starts with the Chicago Red Stars. And despite Utah's struggles, Aly Trost-Martin has absolutely been a bright spot for the Royals this season, completely defining herself as a player that you want to build a franchise around. And I think when you look at Kansas City, 18-year-old Claire Hutton has absolutely been a stalwart in that midfield. So whether it's been through the NWSL draft or players in their first pro year via the U18 mechanism, it's been incredible to watch this season.
Okay, Sandra, moment 3, Chi-Town's finest. Hit us with the Mal Swanson sermon.
I had to put Swanson as a storyline in this list because I was a little bit back and forth. Honestly, I'm on the fence on whether or not we in the media are actually chatting enough about this. Look, we're talking about a year ago, April 2023, where Swanson ruptured her left patellar tendon and needed not just the initial surgery to repair it, but surgical follow-ups as well. And I think in a landscape where we're constantly finding ourselves talking about major knee injuries, whether they come in the form of an ACL or others, there's a little bit of a wait-and-see approach on how players are going to return and recover from those very devastating injuries. And the fact that we see Mal Swanson just a year later producing on the field for both club and country in this point, I think has been completely remarkable. She's kind of bullied her way into this Golden Boot race as well now. So it's a really exciting time for her.
Sandra, what's more satisfying, watching Mal Swanson score an absolute golazo or Chicago deep dish pizza?
I'm going to go with Swanson on that one. I'm a fan of Chicago's thin crust.
All right. There you go. If I knew your food preferences, I may have been able to tee you up with a better one there. You mentioned the Golden Boot race, and that thing is heating up, and that is why it's your second top moment so far of the season.
100%. I think this Golden Boot race has really captivated us from the early phases of this season when we saw Chewinga kind of make her debut with Kansas City, and everyone kind of said with bated breath, wow, this is an incredibly special player. But I don't know if many people thought that she would be in the running, in the lead for this Golden Boot race alongside Barbara Banda, who got a bit of a, slower start in NWSL because of her arrival taking a little bit longer. But now we've got both of these phenomenal players at the top of that Golden Boot race have kind of outshined Sophia Smith, who's got 10 goals at this moment. And I mentioned Swanson now with 7 goals of her own. Look, the regular season's on pause, but this is the race that we're all going to be tuning into as well, along with that playoff push.
The Golden Boot race, it was won last year, Golden Boot, by Sophia Smith at Portland Thorns with only 11 goals. And when you think about the race now, with 2 players at the top with 12 goals, Soph already at 10, an exciting second half of the season to come. All right, Sandra, we're talking storylines from the first half of the season. We started with 5. We worked our way down. Drum roll, please. What's your number 1 storyline for the first half of the season?
I'm going with the battle of the undefeateds. Orlando and Kansas City have been such special teams to watch in 2024. giving some of us a bit of a playoff energy before we go off to this Olympic summer break. What a time. What a match. Of course, it was Orlando that had to stop Kansas City's impressive unbeaten run that stretched back at this point to the 2023 season. And Orlando now finds themselves as the only remaining undefeated team at this moment. And I say that with a grain of salt because this is NWSL and anything could happen. But it's been incredible to watch these two particular teams go at it. I think it's really definitive of this next era of NWSL soccer. I think for when we look at that previous decade, we've seen it come down to a couple teams, whether it was Thorns and Courage. And now in this new era, it could really be anyone's game. And I love that we got to see so much good stuff between Kansas City and Orlando.
Sandra, do you think that matchup was a top 10, top 5, top 3 all-time regular season game in your book?
100%. It absolutely launched itself into NWSL lore last week.
And now everyone's calendar is circled for September 13th when they meet again.
Michelle Cooper's calendar's got it circled in bold Sharpie after her comments on Instagram after that one. Hey, Sandra, great stuff. Awesome chatting with you as always. We always love your power rankings. And I need to get your list of your top favorite foods so I can do a better tee up next time when we're thinking of how to compare Mal Swanson goals to our favorite foods. All right, Sandra, awesome. We'll chat with you again real soon. Coming up next, we've got more Attacking Third, so don't go anywhere. We will be right back. Hey, welcome back. On Friday, the women's Euro qualifiers continue with England taking on Ireland and France facing Sweden in Group A3. England has won all 5 previous meetings against Ireland, while France and Sweden have been a bit more back and forth. France currently sits atop the group with 9 points through 4 matches. So much to look forward to across CBS Sports Network and the Galazzo Network. And still to come, we've got more Attacking Third on the other side of this break. Stay with us. Welcome back to Attacking Third. The Olympic break is here, and here are the top performers, the straight-A students in their classes in the NWSL. Here is who has absolutely balled out up to this point. Temwa Chawinga, she has 18 goal contributions through the first half of the season. Barbara Banda right behind her on her heels with 17 goal contributions. You've got Sophia Smith, Croy Bethune, Mallory Swanson. It is an awesome, awesome battle happening right now as the Golden Boot is one of the greatest prizes that you can win in the NWSL. And what's really interesting, ladies, is that right now we've already got players who have eclipsed the goal contribution number that we saw the top performers from last season reach at the end of the regular season. So, Christine, when you look at just how much production we've seen, what do you point to for all of these goals, assists, and just stellar performances?
Growth of the league, for starters. You have this now reinvigoration influx of international players that are absolutely goal hungry. God bless them. Thank you for that gift. And just somehow we've had these really wonky, leaky defenses, which have definitely helped crank those goals. But I think also just the competition stoking is forcing them to just productivity. They're scoring goals, they're looking at each other. If you look at all the goal scorers just on Kansas City, they're having an absolute blast.
17 of them.
Yeah. 17
out
of them.
Every single week. 17 of them.
17.
It would
be easier to list who hasn't scored a goal.
Exactly. 2 internationals at the top of this goal contribution list with Barbara Banda and Temwa Chawinga, 2 forwards that have come into this league for the first time, both of these players playing in the NWSL and proving that they can bring a different flair that fans and players in this league perhaps aren't ready for and aren't prepared to defend against because they use their physicality in a way that is so bullying on the pitch to draw defenders in. Chawinga does such a good job to bring players on her back and spin them, get in behind. And yeah, she's quick, but it's the smarts in which she dribbles with and the agility that she has. Her first touch cuts the defenders off and then she's in behind so they can't even catch her. She can stop, turn position on a dime. It is so incredible to watch these players, and the skill that they're bringing to the league elevates everyone. I mean, even Sophia Smith, we're seeing her with 16 goal contributions. Last year, she had 16 for the entire season, and this is only match day 16. So Smith is forced to level herself up, knowing that these players are ahead of her, and she's trying to chase them.
And it's crazy because with Sophia Smith, the last couple seasons, she's the player that we're talking about week in, week out, and she's usually at the top of these races. Now she's chasing two players in front of her, and she's put up incredible numbers herself, Christine. It only makes the league better to see all of this production. But if you had to pick who you think is going to run away with this thing, I don't think any player is going to run away with it. Maybe I should rephrase that. Who do you think is going to be the one to win the Golden Boot at the end of it all?
It's going to be so tight. I mean, even now, like the rankings, SAR has creeped up into the top 5. And that's only like one match day difference. So I think for me, I would love to see Banda take it, but right now I'd have to roll the dice.
Feels like a toss-up.
You have to almost. You have to almost. I think Barbara Banda is an MVP candidate, hands down. She makes the game better when she is on the pitch, and the fact that she's continuing to score goals, that's going to be a difference maker. But she doesn't get as many assists, and that's the first tiebreaker in the Golden Boot. And right now, Shawinga and Banda are both tied on 12 goals throughout this season, and it comes down to those assists. It's got to be a little bit more even for Banda in order to win the Golden Boot.
Speaking of assists, Croy Bethune leads the league in assists. The rookie, the Washington Spirit, has really made a name for herself.
9 of them. Holy cow.
9 assists. For her to be involved in this conversation as a rookie, Lisa, what does that say about her as a player?
She's ready for the next level, and she has been. That's why she was drafted so high, 3rd overall out of Georgia to go to Washington Spirit. But her ability to kind of separate her age from the game and the play, and she's worked herself into the lineup, into the attacking prowess of Washington so well, bouncing off players, and the partnership with her and Trinity Rodman is getting better every single match. It's so fun to watch that keep going.
It really is. It's so hard to pick. I think it's going to be a toss-up too. And I think Sophia Smith, 16, she's right there in the mix. It's just going to be so much fun with how much competition there is.
I love it.
I just can't wait for the regular season to come back. But we've got a lot of great stuff to get to with the Olympics, Summer Cup, so much more. This has been a fun show, everybody. We'll see you back here on Thursday as we have been presented by CarMax, the way car buying should be. See you Thursday.